Welcome everyone. In this video we shall discuss about two aspects. The first one is impact on global warming and the second one is the ways to reduce global warming. So let us understand first how global warming impacts on climate. The first one that is climate change. The effects of global warming are the ecological and social changes caused by the rise of global temperature. So, the effects of global warming is due to the ecological and social changes that is seen. So, how do you know that global warming is taking place? Because of the change that is seen in ecological balance and then social changes. And some evidence of climate change includes instrumental temperature record. Second one is rising sea levels and decreasing snow cover in northern hemisphere. So by this we understand that there is increase of temperature. Now let us understand what is the meaning of climate change. Climate change means a change that persists over a sustained period of time. That means over a sustained period of time there is a climate change is experienced or is seen. World's Meteorological Organization defines this time period as 30 years. So this World Meteorological Organization defines the climate change in between 30 years, duration of 30 years. Examples of climatic change include increase of global surface temperature, mainly the global surface temperature or the increased temperature that is seen. Third point is that changes in rainfall and patterns and the frequency of extreme weather events. So sometimes we could see that rainfall doesn't occur and sometimes we could see that extreme of temperature, the imbalance in weather phenomena. Changes in the climate may be due to natural causes. It may be due to the natural causes. Example, the increase in the sun's radiation due to depletion of ozone layer because of human activities. So, when the ozone will be depleted due to the thinness of ozone, the sun's radiation will be falling on the surface of the earth more. So, due to that, there will be increase in temperature. Then changing the composition of atmosphere. Changing the composition of atmosphere. Atmosphere is composed of various gases and there will be burning of fossil fuels. So burning of fossil fuels has led to an increase in the concentration of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So due to the composition of this changing in composition of atmosphere and burning of fossil fuels had led to increase the global temperature. Then human induced warming could lead to large scale irreversible and abrupt changes in physical system. So there are some human activities that we could see will obviously make irreversible, they cannot change, and means the activity that human being have done would take a lot of time to balance the ecological system and it will bring abrupt changes in physical system and melting of ice sheets which contribute to rise in sea level. So melting of ice sheets are happening a lot, that's because of the increasing temperature. Then how would be the future climate change? The future climate change will be associated with more very hot days and fewer cold days. The frequency, length and intensity of heat waves will increase over most land areas. There is possibility that the average maximum wind speed of tropical cyclone will also increase. So due to the climate change, there will be in the future, near future, what will happen? There will be more hot days and fewer cold days and the possibility of occurring tropical cyclones. The second point of this impact on global warming is oceans. So how does it impact on oceans, the marine creatures? The ocean serves as a sink for carbon dioxide. It serves as sink for carbon dioxide. The increased levels of carbon dioxide have led to ocean acidification. Ocean acidification is the name given to the ongoing decrease in the pH of the oceans. pH means it is the measure of acidity caused by the uptake of anthropogenic carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So this is due to the ocean acidification. Is because of the increase in temperature. When the temperature increase, what happens? It will get mixed up and there will be origin of carbon dioxide. About 30 to 40% of carbon dioxide released by humans in the atmosphere dissolves into the oceans, rivers and lakes. So carbon dioxide that is released by human activities or by humans is dissolved on the oceans, rivers and lakes. Then this increasing acidification of ocean makes it difficult for marine life such as corals and plankton. So when the temperature is increased, it will be affecting the corals and the plankton. Corals and plankton means the feed of the fishes, the small plants that is growing in the oceans, that is food for the fishes. Corals are beautiful nature, that is like forested area in the ocean that looks beautiful when you might have seen in the Discovery channels. Then acidification of oceans also poses threat to the food chains connected with the ocean. So because of the acidification, and acidification is happening because of the temperature, and that is affecting the food chains that is connected to the oceans, or in the oceans which all the life is possible. Third point is bleaching of corals. Bleaching of corals means the corals, the plants that is growing in the oceans is fading away. The color of that is fading away, it is losing its beauty. The bleaching of corals is due to the loss of macroscopic algae. So because of the small algae that they are losing because of the temperature. So if temperature is there, this algae will be dying, then there will be fading of these corals, which gives both color and nourishment to the corals. So this macroscopic algae gives both color and nourishment to the corals, but because of the temperature they die and there is bleaching of corals. Then fourth point is effect on flora and fauna in animals and plants, how it is affecting the global warming. Plants and animals react to warmer temperatures by moving to higher elevations and latitudes. So when the temperature is more, it is a tendency of plants and animals that they will be moving towards the higher altitudes and higher latitudes. Species loss and endangerment is rising along with global temperatures. So because of this high temperature, increasing global temperature, we lose species and the endangered animals. As many as 30% of plants and animals today risk of extinction by 2050. So if this way the global is being warmed up, or increase of temperature is taking place in nearby 2050, there is a risk of extinction of animals by 30%. 30% will be reduced. There is a chance of that if average temperature rise by 6.4 degrees Celsius. So there is so much of risk is there. Such extinction will be due to loss of habitat through desertification. So when the areas are not planted trees, it is left and desert area is created. Then again deforestation. The forest area has been cut down due to the factories that is set up and some other construction work as well as the buildings that is being constructed. Ocean warming and global warming. So these are the few human activities that will that is affecting the flora and fauna. That means they are the they are the main reason that the global warming is taking place, and that is affecting to flora and fauna. Fifth point is destruction of ecosystem. If the global temperature is rising day by day, obviously ecosystem will be destroyed and there will be no life survival. So there is another risk. Changing climatic conditions, dramatic increase in carbon dioxide may destroy ecosystem. It may affect the supplies of fresh water, clean air, fuel and energy resources, food, medicine and other matters on which we depend for our survival. So it will be reducing fresh water, clean air and fuel, energy resources, and it will be difficult for us to survive on earth. Now let us discuss a few ways how to reduce global warming. The increase in global warming will alter every ecosystem on earth. Alter means will change. Global warming will increase, so obviously it will bring change in every ecosystem on earth. The system of modest temperature rise in recent decades is melting ice caps, glaciers, then again ice cover is shrinking in Arctic, Antarctic, Alaska and Greenland. So due to the global warming and rise in temperature, it is observed recent decades that melting ice caps and glaciers are happening a lot, and then there is a shrinking of ice cover in Arctic, Antarctic, Alaska and Greenland, mainly near polar areas. So let us see what all things should be taken as a measurement to reduce the global warming. The coral reefs are being affected nearly all the oceans. So these are still the reason of impact on the flora and fauna because of the global warming. Coral reefs are affected in all the oceans. The increasing sea temperature has wiped out 90% of the corals in Indian Ocean. So because of the high temperature in Indian Oceans, 90% of the coral reefs are wiped out. Then coral reefs, the complex ecosystems which are sometimes referred to the rainforest of the sea. So these coral reefs are known as rainforest of the sea. Not only serve as breeding grounds for many species of marine life, they also protect coastlines from storms. So they are obviously breeding ground for the marine life, but they are also protecting the coastline areas from storms. Then if the temperature will keep on increasing, they also will be affected, dying, and all these things will be happening. Increasing global temperatures may affect the regional climate or atmospheric changes with regard to temperature, precipitation, soil moisture, etc. All these consequences of increase in global temperature may pose serious problems to the ecological balance, which may or in turn affect the life of all living beings on earth. So increasing global temperatures may affect the regional climate as well as atmospheric changes, and all consequences will be happening due to the increase in temperature. Since carbon dioxide accounts for nearly half of the greenhouse gases, the best way to solve the problem would be to use sources of energy such as wind energy, hydroelectricity, then again geothermal, then solar energy, tidal and nuclear energy. So all these conventional energy should be used which do not produce pollution, which do not produce carbon dioxide. Another important step would be to stop the emission of other greenhouse gases. So that should be there should be taken initiative from the government that the greenhouse gases emission should be stopped. Mainly it is happening due to the setting of the industries. Therefore, serious steps should be taken to reduce global warming. For example, the conservation of forest, reduce industrial pollution, reduce release of CO2 or carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, etc. So this has to be taken effort by human with the collaboration with the government. By taking measures to save the ozone layer from further depletion by controlling CFCs release in the atmosphere, we may help in solving the problem to some extent. So we should keep in mind that CFCs that is very harmful to the depletion of ozone layer should be reduced. Then there are some international agencies which has taken effort to reduce the global warming. Let us see what all these effects and how changes they are bringing. International efforts to control greenhouse effect. The first one is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. This agency says that the Convention on Climate Change sets an overall framework of all the countries. So all the countries, if they are taking measures, if they are taking proper step to reduce the global warming, then it is possible. In the convention, it was agreed that the future global warming should be limited to below 2 degrees Celsius relative to the pre-industrial level. So it was agreed by the future global warming should be limited to 2 degrees Celsius. Then climate change convention was held at the Rio Earth Summit in June 1992. It was signed by 154 nations who agreed to prevent the devastating impact of pollution causing greenhouse effect. So it was, the summit was held in June 1992 and it was signed and agreed by all 154 nations, and they promised that the devastating impact of pollution causing greenhouse effect should be prevented. Then third agency was that the Kyoto Protocol. These countries agreed to cut the greenhouse gas emission by 5.4%. And then last one is the Global Environmental Facility, GEF. It was set up in 1991 to facilitate global environmental cooperation between developed and developing countries. So these agencies are taking more effort, and time by time they are conducting summit meetings and attended by all the delegates and countries of the this main heads. So they take serious step to reduce the global warming, means in terms of setting up the industries or in terms of construction and some planting trees, or there are some human activities which has to be reduced, which causes increase in temperature. So the main objectives of GEF, that means Global Environmental Facility, were reduction of greenhouse effect in the atmosphere. So main first objective was to reduce the greenhouse effect. Second, protection of biological diversity. So biological diversity has to be protected. Then protection of international waters. Water has to be saved and protected. Reduction of ozone layer depletion. So ozone layer has to be maintained, and it has to be the thickness of that has to be maintained. That is the objectives that was taken by this GEF. So these are the few concepts that needed to be cleared. I hope you understood all this chapter, what all things are discussed. Previously the audio system was not well. I also faced some of the devices problem was there. That's why I could not give you the proper video. So no issues. I think you understood this chapter, and thank you for watching this video so patiently, and hope so you have completed the question answer. Thank you. I remain.